Today we're going to talk about surface area of net. So we're going to give you a net with some measures on it and find the surface area of it. So it's kind of like a composite shape, which we've already dealt with. So the first step is we're going to use our knowledge of polygons to label each side of the net with the missing dimensions. We'll find the area of each individual shape. So we need a label, then we're going to find the area of each shape, and then we're going to add up all of the areas to get the total area of the net. So first off, we want to think about what shape it is, some practice with that. So if we look at this shape, our two bases are the two ones that are on the right or left, or top and bottom. In this case, we've got the two on the right and the left side. So for this, the shape of those are rectangles. Okay. And then how many lateral faces? So if we take away those bases, the number of lateral faces is 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you've got two rectangular bases and 4 lateral sides, that makes a rectangular prism. So now let's go and think about what sides are congruent and what the measures would be. So I'm going to take one of my highlighter colors and I'm going to highlight this side length of 10. So if we've got this vertical length of 10 here, all of these vertical lengths here should also be 10. And then remember that we alternate side lengths. So if this is a different length, this is 10, different length. This right here, as it's labeled, is also 10, which means the side on the right is also 10. So I'm going to label those. This is 10, 10, 10, and then this side is also 10. Now with a different highlighter color, I'm going to take the pink here. Okay, I'm going to look at this side length here, which is 7. Now remember, if the left side is 7, the right side is also 7. And then remember it alternates. 10, 7, 10. This should also be 7, which means the right side should also be 7. And then the last part that we need to look at is that these sides right here should connect. If we folded the shape, this side would match up and connect with that side. Same thing here. This side right here would match up with that side. On the top, which we'll notice, this side right here should match up with that, and if these two folded together, those would match up. So this is 7, 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 this is 7. So again, if we reiterate that, for these 4 lateral faces, it should alternate 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10, and then those sides that would fold together and match up should be the same length. And then there's one other side length. Remember, rectangular prisms have 3 side lengths. So with one more color here, I'm going to take my other color and I'm going to highlight this length right here. Well, all of these horizontal lengths going down should then be the same. This side, this side, this side, this side. And if we look, where we see the label is down here. It says that this length is 6, which means this should be 6, this should be 6, this should be 6, this should be 6. So now we're going to actually find the area. So I just need to think of my dimensions. I've got a bunch of rectangles, so I'm doing base times height. Okay? So what I want you to remember is, if we think back to, well, let's look at this first. Let's find the area of one. Here, 7 times 10 gives me an area of 70. Okay? And when we think back to the image that we made, okay, when we've got rectangular prisms, there's 3 sets of congruent pairs. So we've got 2 blues, 2 pinks, 2 yellows, and it alternates blue, pink, right? Yellow, pink, yellow. So I know that if this base is 70, this base is also going to be 70. But you can look at the dimensions. 7 times 10 will give you 70. Okay. If we look at this one right here, 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 7 is 42. Here, base of 6, height of 7 is 42. Here, base of 6, height of 10 is 60. So, if you look at it, and it's kind of this way, right? It's alternating. 42, 60, 42, 60, and then our bases, 70 and 70. Now that we found the areas of each, we're going to add them up. So we've got 70 plus 70 plus 60 plus 60 plus 42 plus 42, which gives us a total of 344. So our surface area is 344. Our units are centimeters squared. Okay, let's look at the next example. So looking at this one, the shapes of our two bases. Well, there's 3 sides here, there's 2 here. So the 2 bases that we are looking at are triangles. So the shapes of our bases are triangles. Then the other sides that aren't our bases, there's 1, 2, 3 of them, those 3 rectangular lateral faces. So when we've got triangle bases and 3 lateral faces, that gives us a triangular prism. So now let's go ahead and start highlighting. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my highlighter colors and I'm going to highlight this base here. So one of my rectangles, that base is 12. Well, if the bottom is 12, that tells me that the top is also 12. Okay. And then I don't see any other measures here that are 12, but I do see right here that this height right here is 12. And remember, anytime we've got that kind of connecting, they would fold into each other. Well, it's going to be the same thing down here. These two would fold into each other. So this is 12. These kind of match up. Now I'm going to take another measure, another highlighter. Okay. I'm going to highlight this one right here. For this rectangle, we have a base of 9. If the bottom's 9, that means the opposite side, the top, is also 9. Take a third color. I'm going to use pink here. I highlight this base of this rectangle. Well, if the bottom of this rectangle is 15, that means that the top is also 15. I notice I also see a 15 right here because I know that these two sides would fold up and match up to each other, so those are both 15. This one is also 15. And if you think about it, we've got these rectangles. It has 12, 9, and 15. The triangle has 12, 9, and 15 in it. The last measure that we haven't looked at, I'm going to use a fourth highlighter color. I see this 8 centimeters. It's kind of the height of this prism. Okay, we've got 8 here. All of these heights here are also going to be 8. So now that we've labeled all the sides, every single side has been labeled, we can find the area of each. So I've got my rectangle here. 12 times 8 is an area of 96. My rectangle here, 9 times 8 is an area of 72. My rectangle here, 15 times 8 is an area of 120. Now we got to be careful with the triangles, because remember the formula for the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Do not forget to divide by 2. In this case, we don't really have a 90-degree symbol for us, but I'm going to draw one in the corner right here because these two sides look to meet at a 90-degree angle. So my base and my height, it's 9 is my base, my height is 12. 9 times 12 is 108. Divide that by 2, and I get 54. And I remember that if this base is 54, this base should be 54. And if we think about that net that we drew before, we've got kind of 3 different rectangle measures here, and then the 2 bases are congruent. So I'm going to add these all up. 96 plus 72 plus 120 plus 54 plus 54 gives me a total area of 396 centimeters squared. All right, we're going to do one more shape, and then we're going to have you do a you try problem. So in this one, we've got a bunch of tick marks. Remember that tick marks tell you that the sides are congruent. So if we look at the 2 bases that we have here, they have congruent sides, which tells me the bases are squares. Okay. Then when we take away those bases, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lateral sides. So when they're all made up of squares, that shape, it's technically a rectangular prism, but if you want to be more specific, you could say that it's a cube. Okay? So if we remember, if we think back to the cube, all of these are the same measures. So everywhere I see these tick marks, I know that they're going to be 5. So I'm just going to pick a color, and I'm going to highlight my prism with all of those side lengths. So every single side is going to be the same exact measure. So I'm highlighting every single side length with the same color to reiterate that all sides in this are congruent. And then I'm going to label them. Maybe you don't need to label every single one, but I'm going to label the base and height. Base and height. Base and height. Okay. And then I need to find the area. So 5 times 5 is 25. Well, I know if all of these are the same, just like in this picture, all of them are yellow. So each of these 6 squares are going to be 25. So I'm going to add that up. 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 gives me a total of 150. So our units are 150, our surface area is 150 inches squared. All right, go ahead and try on your own.